Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkin Show. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show.
Uh-oh. Good evening as the intro replays in the background on my computer. That's just how awesome this is. All right, well, now it quit. Good evening, folks. We're off to another great episode of the Bodkin Show. As always, I am your host. This is our NFL Week 2 wrap-up show. We're going to be breaking down all the games, talking a little shit. At the end, we're going to give out our dogs of the week and our turds of the week. Man, there's some good ones for the dogs and good ones for the turds. I'm excited to kind of give those out here in just a little bit with the guys. We got some what up, Jadius? Tino, he said Tino sent him. So welcome to the show. Hopefully you stick around. We'll be talking all things NFL, giving out some good stuff as well. We're just going to be talking Sunday's games. If you missed Thursday's show, we talked about that game live as it was going, mixed in with all our picks. On the Let's Talk Sports Show, Tanner and Johnny held it down this morning on the Let's Talk Sports Show as I was coming back. Me and my wife went to a taco and margarita festival yesterday. It was quite fun and quite interesting. So, I entered the taco eating contest, and I took one fucking bite of that shithole taco, and it was dry. I ain't ate a fucking taco that dry since an old girl named Debbie, and I was pressing all the buttons. So there's that, and I ate the first half, 1.5, and the next guy was like, "There's 4 tacos about this, just regular ass hard shell tacos, hard shell at that." So I was fucking cutting my fucking throat. I said, "Peace out," about after taco 1.5, when the guy next to me was fucking mowed down all 4 of them. And I was like, "Yep, I'm out." Cardinals are hot garbage, Jadis. Cardinals are hot garbage. That's true. So that was what I did yesterday, and then I was coming home today while the boys did the show. So shout out to them covering it. So if you want to check that out this morning on the Let's Talk Sports Show. But speaking of Let's Talk Sports Show, let's go ahead and bring in a couple of the guys going to be joining us every Sunday night, breaking down the games. None other than my Puerto Rican brother Johnny Cruz. Johnny, I forget I'm the producer and the host of the show, so I forget I got to press buttons.
You got control of everything. What's going on, man? I'm happy to be back. Sunday night, I missed last Sunday, but I'm happy to be here with you this Sunday and every Sunday going forward, so we can talk about all the games for today. I thought we had some good games. I thought the Cardinals had that game, man, and then the Giants.
It should have. Man. Hey, I was burying the Giants. Burying the Giants. My buddy Craig texted me during the game. He said. In me group chat, he said, "Hey man, you and Kenny anointed the Dayball as a top 10 coach last year. How's that looking out for you?" I said, "I might have been fucking wrong because it's 60-0 in 6 quarters for the Giants, and they look like hammered dog shit." And we'll talk about that game, but that was a fun game. The Denver game was fun. And you got your Dolphins Patriots game going on right now.
Yep, and they just went up 10. Well, hopefully after they make an actual extra point, it'll be 10-0 with the Dolphins winning here. But no, it was. I made the comment on Thursday to Tanner. Shout out to Tanner Dawson, the man behind all the producing and everything. I had made the comment that if the Giants go 0-2, like there's been a lot of talk at New York sports radio about the Giants and about, not necessarily Brian Daboll losing his job, but like they almost expected a step back from last year. Like they overachieved last year, and it was, they got to get a dose of reality this year. So 0-2 would have been a bad look for them. So they managed to catch it there at the end. There were a lot of close games there at the end. But how about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0? The Washington Commanders are 2-0. ATL is 2-0. You'll say so. A few surprise teams are 2-0, and then on the other side of it, we got the Bengals 0-2, and
I gave them the
San Diego Superchargers 0-2. So somebody put out a tweet that
the LA Superchargers, the LA Superchargers.
$252 million of guaranteed money is 0-4. So,
it's insane.
That's the NFL, man. That's the NFL for you. It's been a lot of fun. It was nice to be able to watch all the games and just be able to relax and be here with you, and then hopefully watch a victory going on here as well.
Yeah, we mentioned the Patriots, a guy that he has to join us through his laptop because he just broke his TV because how bad the Patriots are looking. Our own Hall of Famer, none other than Mr. Scott Cope.
What up, Scott?
I can't believe this. The Dolphins are crushing the Patriots. No, I picked it. The Bengals are not making the playoffs this year. The Bengals are not making it.
It's too early, Scott. They've been 0-2. Joe Burrow is 1-7 in his first in weeks 1 through 2.
Burrow got hurt again today. He strained his calf.
Yeah, he did get hurt again. He did get hurt.
Yeah,
the Bodkins KOD the Bodkins KOD is continuing on for that AFC.
What did you say? Was it the calf again?
It's calf. Same calf he hurt before.
See, I said it before the season started. We don't know how bad that calf is.
It's just a different feel 0-2 this year than it was last year. Their offense has been terrible. They're completely terrible this year.
It is. Let's start with that game. It was the Ravens were up there for a little while. Then the Bengals were coming back, and they lose this game 24-27. Lamar goes for 24-33, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns. No DK or JK Dobbins, but no problem. Gus Edwards kind of carries the load there. 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Lamar also had 12 carries for 54. Justice Hill, 11 for 41. In the passing game, Zay Flowers, 4 for 62. Nelson Aguilar, Scott, your former Patriot, 5 for 63 and a touchdown. Mark Andrews caught 5 for 45 and a touchdown. Odell only had 3 receptions, and he was also banged up in this game. Then you guys mentioned Joe Burrow, 22 and 41, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Joe Mixon, where was he at? He is still nowhere to be found. 13 carries for 59 yards. Welcome back to the NFL. T. Higgins, after a no-show last week, 8 carries for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, where's he been at? Only 5 for 31. Scott, let me ask you, from a fantasy expert, is anybody on this damn Ravens running back eligible to start?
I don't think so. I really don't. Justice Hill was the big, was supposedly one of the big pickups of the week, and he did absolutely nothing today. Gus Edwards is Gus Edwards. He's a plotter, basically. That's it. Right. So when you're looking at the Baltimore backfield, it's Lamar or bust, basically. You might get one good game from Justice Hill where he scored 2 touchdowns last week, but then it might be 6 weeks before you see another good game from him. So no, I don't think so.
And you got to give Lamar his props too, because he stood in the pocket. He made some nice throws, 24 of 33, 237, 2 touchdowns. And he has that ability when he needs to run to just break some ankles and get those necessary yards for those important first downs to keep drives going and stuff. If he can sit in the pocket and for the majority of the season and make plays like that, then that Baltimore team's going to be trouble. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't have all those set up runs for him. You know what I'm saying? Just let him play the game, and you know what I'm saying? If he has an opportunity to run, let him run that way. It'll lower the risk of him getting hurt as opposed to having designed runs for him to do. But Mark Andrews was his usual self. So I think we all picked Baltimore to finish last. And granted, it's only 2 games. You know what I'm saying?
But they look pretty good.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And the Bengals look bad, bro.
And let me ask you guys this. It's not that they're 0-2, but now they've 0-2 in the division. You lost to the Browns, and then you lost to the Ravens. That's 0-2 in the division. Right. So let me ask you guys this before we move on to the next game. What's the panic meter in Cincinnati right now, Johnny?
Again, it's only 2 games, and you mentioned Joe Burrow's record in the first 2 weeks of each season.
1-7.
I'm going to say it's at a 4 right now because there's still a lot of game left. But again, the scary part is that they just don't look good. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they were fighting with teams and they just lost last second. They pretty much got handled by Cleveland and Baltimore, 2 division rivals. So I would say it's about a 4 now, but I mean that could skyrocket quick if they lose another game, if they lose next week.
It's a 6 because their defense is totally different than it was last year. There's no Jesse
we
Bates.
said that at the beginning of the year. Their question mark would be that secondary, and it hasn't looked good in 2 games.
And next week they play Monday night against the Rams. If there's no Joe Burrow, Jake Browning's the starting quarterback for the Bengals next week. I don't put any faith. That's what I'm saying. So, to be honest with you, if Burrow does not play for them, they don't have a chance to win.
No,
because I think he's going to play Monday night. Monday night's a must-win for them. For them, they got to. They can't go 0-3.
Yeah, if they go 0-3, they might as well just forget it. They're out. They're done. Because I don't think they're coming back from 0-3. There's too many good teams in the AFC, and I'm not saying the Chargers are one of them, but there's too many good teams in the AFC to jump.
Seahawks. So JD said Seahawks Lions went overtime, and that was a good game. That was the next game I had pulled up to talk about. Was that Lions Seahawks game? Seahawks come all the way back here, tie this game up, and win in overtime. This was a game Detroit was supposed to win, right? Like they're supposed to be the leaders, the dogs, the creme de la creme of this NFC. And here come the Seahawks after losing to the Rams last week. Geno, back to good Geno here. 32 of 41, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 17 carries for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. DK, 6 for 75. Tyler Lockett, 8 for 59 and the 2 touchdowns. Noah Fant, 4 for 56. And then on the Lions side here, Jared Goff, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. David Montgomery, 16 for 67 and a touchdown. They spent all this draft capital on Jahmyr Gibbs and only give him 7 carries today. That could be a problem. Amon St. Brown continues to perform, 6 receptions for 102. Josh Reynolds, 5 for 66 and the 2 touchdowns. And then Khalif Raymond, 2 receptions for a touchdown. Sam Laporta continues his nice entry into the NFL for 5 for 63. Johnny, what's your thoughts here? What was your thoughts here on the Lions, Seahawks game?
I mean, it was a little disappointing on the Lions side. I thought the Lions had this game, an opportunity to be 2-0 in the division, to be solo in first place in that division. I guess they're still tied with the Packers or whatever, but this was an opportunity to make a statement. You're at home. Seattle is coming off of a rough loss in week 1, but props to Seattle, props to Geno Smith. He had a huge game, 32 of 41, 328, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett what a career Tyler Lockett has had, man. And
very underrated.
I wish I would have made that trade with you, Alan.
One of the most underrated.
Alan was trying to give him up, but I didn't make the trade. I wish I would have done it. But yeah, no, props to Seattle. They did what they had to do to, Seattle couldn't fall 0-2 after the season they had last year. And in that division with San Francisco, with the Rams kind of showing some life last week with that win. I know we'll get into their game, saying today or whatever, but that was huge for Seattle. Props to Seattle for coming back and winning that game. That was a nice close game down to the wire as well. A lot of good close games today, man. It was a lot of fun.
It's fitting that the Lions lost on Barry Sanders' statue day, since that's what they did most of his career. So there's that. Young JD says here that he felt like the Lions should have went for it on 4th down, but they took the safe side and went with the field goal. It's kind of surprising they did that, Scott, because Dan Campbell's MO is usually to go for it.
Yeah, his usual MO is to go for it, but you got to remember the new rules of overtime state that if you don't score a touchdown in the opening drive, the other team gets a chance. Right. So I think that factored into it, and I think what Tanner wrote also below that comment is also true. Montgomery getting hurt is a big thing for the Lions because
absolutely,
when you looked at it down the stretch, it was Craig Reynolds getting the carries, not Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. If I'm a Jahmyr Gibbs fan, why isn't he getting the ball when you spent all this draft capital on him? I mean, what's going on?
Exactly. You traded up to get him. You traded up to go get him.
And Pelissero reported today that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to get a bigger workload.
Right.
And he did not.
Yeah, you mentioned that this morning.
Yeah.
Maybe if they hadn't reported that, he probably would, but they were trying to throw off some smoke screens to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit just played like out of sorts today for most of the game. It was just like they were up big. DK Metcalf went out of the game because he was either injured or whatever, and they should have put it away, and they didn't. They allowed Seattle to hang around, and Geno Smith became last year Geno Smith instead of New York Jet Geno Smith, and it was good enough. So,
hey, let me ask you guys this before we move. This is a game. If the Lions are supposed to be this contender in the NFC, this is a game they're supposed to fucking win. You're at home. You're coming off that big win on Thursday night. You're talking all that shit with the damn ski mask and shit like that, all that dumb stuff, and then you went and got smacked in the mouth. So there's that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, and again, that's why you can't overreact after week one. But that was a big win for them week one, getting that win over Kansas City. It was a real close game, but like you said, if you're gonna be a playoff team, this is a game you got to win at home. You got to take advantage of that, and you had a good opportunity to take it there, and you let the other team come back on you like that. So that not only did you lose the game, but you know what I'm saying, you handed them the game. I mean, they came back on you and took that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to put them away, and you did it. So
good teams find a way to put you on the throat and cut. Put the foot on the throat. You know what I mean? Right. And they didn't do that.
And also look at this: if Kadarius Toney doesn't become stone hands, Kadarius Toney, Detroit's 0-2 right now. They're 0-2
probably so.
Right now.
Yeah. If Toney catches the 5 balls he caught today, week one, you know what I mean, and we'll talk about that game here in a little bit too. Yeah. That they might be, the Lions are probably 0-2, but nonetheless, they are 1-1. Seahawks 1-1. In the next game, here's the Colts Texans. Colts get the first win in the Shane Steichen era. Anthony Richardson runs for 2 touchdowns, but also gets concussed. They bring in Minshew. Minshew goes 19 for 23, 171 yards and a touchdown. Zach Moss, 18 carries, 88 yards and a touchdown. Shout out to Ryan Larson of Triple FTP. He said Zach Moss is going to be in a good spot, so probably should have picked him up. But maybe Zach Moss 1 more week, and then it's time for – or 2 more weeks, and I guess Taylor. But Michael Pittman, 8 for 56 yards. And that's pretty much it. If anybody of significance on the Colts offense. On the Texans offense, CJ Stroud, 30 of 47, 384 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dameon Pierce, 15 carries for 31. And Nico Collins, 7 receptions, 146 yards and a touchdown. Tank Dell, 7 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. Robert Woods, 6 for 74. So he's kind of spreading the ball all over here. But nonetheless, once the Colts got the big lead, they were up, and then Texans were able to score 10 points there to even make this game a little closer than what it really was. Scott, what's your thoughts here on the Colts-Texans game? And is Zach Moss a guy we got to pick up and play the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I get the strange feeling that Jonathan Taylor will not play another down for the Colts. I think he's going to get traded. I just get that strange sort of feeling and vibe from the Colts and from everything I've read that as soon as they activate him, they're gonna move him within a couple of days. So if that's the case, Zach Moss is a guy you definitely want to at least stash on your bench and see where it goes from there. I mean, Jonathan Taylor might play for the Colts, but I think he won't play again for the Colts.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. I mean, yeah, I wish I would have listened to Ryan. That was a good one there with Zach Moss. I mean, Richardson. I mean, I said it in the text thread we had going on earlier. Richardson looked pretty good with his legs. You know what I'm saying? If he can ever develop his passing game with his athleticism and his size, that's a scary thought. You know what I'm saying? He falls under that Justin Fields type category. Big kid, a lot of speed, a lot of quickness, a cannon for an arm. It's just a matter of whether or not he can develop the passing game. But he got off to a nice start with some of those plays. I mean, the Colts were all over the Texans. So much for your Texans winning the division, Rios. I know it's only 2. I know it's only 2 weeks. But it's not looking too good for you. It's going to take CJ a little bit of time. I do like CJ Stroud though. It's going to take him a little bit of time to develop, and for D'Amico Ryans to get his people in there and to start changing them around. But yeah, it ain't happening this season, Rio. Sorry, bro.
No. Scott, let me ask you this before we move on. Should the Texans fans be a little worried about D'Amico Ryans' defense? I mean, giving up 30 to the Colts is kind of question mark.
I don't think so. I think that they'll get better as the season goes on. New coach, new system. Players need some time to adjust to this. So I think I would say by week 6 or 7, you're going to see a better Texans defense than you see right now. They need to win these games. This was a winnable game today, and they didn't win it. They have to win these games today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's
get into the next one.
Rios, you better start drinking even more then, because
he's shit faced right now. He is shit faced right now somewhere.
Let's get into the next one. It's Bucks Bears. Who would have thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be 2-0? The Baker Mayfield Buccaneers. The Bears offense is absolutely abysmal. It might be time for the Justin Fields experiment to be over. 16-29, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Nobody on this offense did anything rushing the football. Khalil Herbert, only 7 carries. Roscoe Johnson, thanks a lot, only 4 carries. DJ Moore, welcome back to the NFL. 6 receptions, 104 yards today. He's about the only person who did any significant damage for the Bears. And then Baker Mayfield, though, 6-34, 317 yards, 1 touchdown. Rachaad White, 17 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans is, we just mentioned Tyler Lockett being underrated. Mike Evans, 10 years of 1,000 yards receiving, and he's well on to year 11 here. 6 receptions for 171 yards, 1 touchdown. He might be the most underrated wide receiver there is. 5 receptions for 58 yards for Chris Godwin. Kate Otten, 6 for 41, and Rachaad White had 5 receptions for 30 yards. Scott, the Bears offense is awful. Is it time to move on from Justin Fields?
Not yet, but it's getting close. It's close. He is not the quarterback that coming out of Ohio State that everybody thought he was. I don't know what's going on in Chicago. They're the worst 0-2 team in the NFL right now. They're the worst by far. It's not even close. At least the Cardinals put up an effort in their first 2 games.
They're in games. They're 2 games. Both games, the Cardinals, at least they're playing hard. They're just there's not enough talent on the field, I don't think.
It's just, the Bears, there's no downfield throws. Justin Fields looks lost. Chase Claypool caught a touchdown. Everybody was bemoaning him playing this. I mean, I don't know what is going on in Chicago.
They almost didn't play him.
Yeah, I know that. I know. They are the worst.
A healthy scratch.
They are the worst 0-2 team in the NFL by far. It's not even close.
And what did they give up for him? Was it a 3 or a 2 for Claypool?
A 2 for Chase Claypool.
God. Yeah. I can't give up on a kid with that much talent and an upside after 2 games of this season. That offensive line is horrible. And
it is horrible.
You mentioned DJ Moore, but nobody else did jack shit for this team offensively.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's bigger than just Justin Fields. So I wouldn't give up on that kid, but at the rate that they're going, they are going to have a top 5 pick if they're not careful, man, because this can get away from them quickly, man. I was a little surprised. I thought they would have this one, but you mentioned Mike Evans. Mike Evans said, "I don't give a shit who's throwing me the ball. I am that dude." There's a possible dog candidate, in my opinion. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like you said, 6 for 171 and a touchdown. And he was treating the Bears defenders like they were children, yo. It was nice to see. So shout out to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, Mike Evans. He's, in my opinion, he's a future Hall of Famer, bro.
I drafted him in the 7th round in fantasy drafts in Las Vegas. He might be the best 7th round draft pick I've ever made in my life.
No doubt. No doubt.
Bobby G says the Bears are the most mismanaged team in the NFL. Fields to the Rams, he'd shine.
Can't agree more. They're the most mismanaged team in the NFL outside of the Indianapolis Colts.
That's funny.
Chase Claypool says to the top 5 wide receiver. I'm not lying. Well, Chase, I didn't know who his weed man is because I need to get on some of that shit.
Right. That is some strong shit right there. But yeah, again, I agree with Bobby G. It's above Justin Fields, man. It's not a Justin Fields thing.
Yeah.
I think the kid does have talent. I think it's a management, ownership, even. You know what I'm saying? It's just the Bears organization is just shitty, man.
The coaches need to go to Justin Fields and say, "Hey, Justin, what do you like to do the most? What throws do you like to make the most?" And they need to start the playbook with those throws and design runs for him. That's it.
And I know. How about we shit on the AFC South and we'll talk about them as a whole? But right now, Bucks 2-0. Falcons 2-0. Or NFC South.
Put Allen's comment up.
Yes.
Did you watch the game today, Allen?
He scored a touchdown today.
He was too busy. He was too busy focused on his Cowboys. Which shout out to him and his Cowboys 2-0.
We shit on the NFC South, but the Falcons 2-0. Saints win tomorrow. They could be 2-0.
Yeah,
3 teams are 2-0 in that division.
And like
could
be. Said, Saints got to win tomorrow.
Right, and like you said, Nick, we were shitting on that whole division all off season. In all of our shows.
You guys, I think the majority had us the Bucks. I think you, Johnny, had the Bucks finishing dead last.
Yeah, I did. That's what I'm saying.
They're not finishing dead.
That's what. No, not now. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying. I think I'm gonna have to check. It was either them or Carolina because I don't think I had much faith in Carolina either. But no, I definitely did not have the Bucks going 2-0. I just didn't have much faith in Baker Mayfield. I knew Mike Evans is going to get his. I love Chris Godwin.
Baker's playing.
I love that defense. Yes, he's taking what the defense gives him. He ain't trying to be a superhero. He's just playing football. And you got one of a wide receiver that has one of the biggest catch radiuses in history. Just throw it up to him, let him make a play. And that defense is doing what they need to do. So shout out to the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? I'm right here, and I guess I should be listening to a little bit more Bucks radio than my New York shit. But you know what I'm saying? I'm a little surprised. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting them to play this well. But props to them for going 2-0, and you know what I'm saying? The ATL, that was a big win, man. I thought, I know we haven't gotten to that game yet, but I thought your boys was gonna win that game.
I will talk about that game here in just a minute.
Baker's doing what he needs to do, and that defense is still young and fast. And like I said, you got a Hall of Famer at wideout. Rondell White is running like a baller. So you know what I'm saying? Tampa Bay, they got a good offensive line. Tampa Bay might be scary, man.
Scott,
at least to win that division. At least to win that division.
Who would have said this 3 weeks ago? Were we even thinking this about Tampa Bay?
No.
I mean, they can win that division. There is a path to them winning the division.
Yeah,
Baker's playing as long as Baker is playing at this level. He's playing. Right. He's not turning the ball over as much. Exactly. He's playing, making smart throws. Right. I said this beginning of the season. This might be the most talented team he's ever been on. I know he's on some Browns team, but Odell got hurt in some of those games. Receiver wise, they still got, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and those guys,
Yeah.
I mean that's a good argument. You know what I'm saying? That's a definite argument.
These are the best receivers he's played with. Yeah.
I thought going into this week 1 or week 2 early game matchups, I thought this was the most intriguing game was rematch of the playoff game. 17-9. Chiefs beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Patty Mahomes 2 touchdowns, 305 yards, did throw 1 interception. Isaiah Pacheco 12 carries for 70 yards. Mahomes also ran for 7 for 30. Then you get into the receiving. Sky Moore, 3 for 70 and a touchdown. Justin Watson, 3 for 62. Kadarius Toney found his hands, 5 for 37. There's that dude, Travis Kelce, 4 for 26 in the touchdown. Noah Gray, 3 for touchdown, 3 receptions as well. You get to the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, 22 of 41, 216 yards. Travis Etienne, 12 for 40. Christian Kirk had himself a game, 11 receptions, 110 yards. Evan Ingram, 6 for 57. Calvin Ridley had quite a few targets, but only caught 2 of them. Hit himself right in the damn goalpost, right into it. He's trying to catch the ball for the end zone. Yeah. Another one, Trevor Lawrence missed him on. Johnny, what's your thoughts here in 17-9 Chiefs Jags, and what I feel like should have been a higher scoring game, but just wasn't?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This is about as disappointing as I was in a game all afternoon. You guys know who I have, who I picked to be my MVP, and he did not play like that at all. It might be a turd candidate, to be quite honest. But the Jacksonville Jaguars had an opportunity to make a bit of a statement here at home against the defending champs. Kansas City's trying to bounce back from that week 1 loss, and you managed 3 field goals. Like, how about growing up? You're not going to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs kicking field goals, man. Grow some balls and come up with something creative, Doug Peterson. Like, it was sad to see them play. They played like shit. They didn't deserve to win. So, you're saying props to Kansas City for handling their business. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest of games, but Kansas City did what they needed to do. They made it, just enough plays to win the game. And it never felt like Jacksonville even had a chance. You know what I'm saying? Anytime they got close, they just stepped on their own toes and then wound up settling for field goals. So it was a pretty pathetic showing, in my opinion.
Hey, Scott, let me ask you this. Should we be worried about the Chiefs offense, though? This is the second game in a row they have not looked great. I mean, to only score 17 points is questionable to me.
So I will say this. The Chiefs do not have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't. Anybody can say anything they want. There's no.
They don't have a number 2 wide receiver.
But Travis Kelce is their number 1 wide receiver. That's the problem.
He's their number 1 pass catcher. Yeah, he's their number 1 pass catcher.
But if Kadarius Toney doesn't catch the ball, Sky Moore, he's disappointed this year and last year too. So it's just a simple fact that you need to have. I know Mahomes is a great quarterback. I know he lifts up his team talent-wise. You need to have somebody you can go to in stretches down the stretch of games and continuously go to them besides Travis Kelce, because teams are going to start double teaming Travis Kelce in the second half and saying, Pat, beat us someplace else. And there's nobody else there. MVS, you've seen that MVS experiment, Nick. You know full well. It doesn't go great.
Yeah.
I mean, Kadarius Toney.
Stonehand Scantling Jr. is what I call him, yeah. And now they got another Stonehands and Tony. So, I mean.
Yeah. Kadarius Toney had 5 catches in the first quarter and a half, and he didn't catch another ball the rest of the game. I don't know if they threw it to him.
I don't think they went to him they just didn't throw it to him.
Right. So if I'm Tanner, and I am calm Tanner. If I'm Tanner, there's got to be a number 1 wide receiver that comes out. I mean, it was supposed to be Juju last year. I don't think it ever was Juju. So I think what Kansas City's doing is saying, okay, all our wide receivers are number 1. We're going to put them all in a bag and pull out the name that we want to throw to at the beginning of games. And Jacksonville's not ready against the big boys yet. That's my feeling. They're not ready.
Is there a guy in fantasy world that you feel like you can start in even a flex play? Maybe Tony. I mean, if he five receptions today.
Yeah, I agree with you. As long as they win, who cares who's number 1? But yeah, it's Kadarius Toney. It's Kadarius Toney.
We got some questions here. Kemper wants to know, is Jacksonville frauds? I don't think so. I don't think so either. They just, the game plan wasn't all that creative at all today. Chris Jones made his presence felt his first game back. I don't know. And Trevor Lawrence just played like shit. So, I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say Jacksonville, the team of frauds. They just didn't play well today. And like I said, I didn't see anything creative out of their offense. And
Like, again, you're not going to beat the Chiefs with field goals. So, you know what I'm saying? Take some chances. And they didn't. I felt like they didn't do that. They were a little bit too conservative, in my opinion, and they just couldn't come through there. But I don't know if they're fraud yet. Again, it's only 2 weeks, and in that division, even though shout out to Sam and his Titans, but in that division, I still think Jacksonville's the team to beat in that division.
I agree. JD wants to know pretty much because the Chiefs and Eagles have been struggling the last 2 weeks. The Eagles are 2-0, but had some close games. Do they got the Super Bowl hangover? I 1,001% believe both teams probably have a little bit of that hangover. And we've talked about this before. Nobody really seems to be really clicking, because we're not getting those practices and those reps, and that's why we're seeing a lot of sloppy football.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I think the Eagles are just taking what teams give them. I think the Vikings told them on defense they need to run the ball, so they ran the ball a lot Thursday night. I think that's what the Eagles are doing right now because you saw it with DeAndre Swift Thursday night. When's the last time he's ever had a game like that? Never in his NFL career.
Never.
So,
never.
I think the Patriots.
College, that's the last time he had a game like that, Scott.
Yeah, I think the Patriots showed them one way, and they said, okay, we're going to do that. And the Vikings showed them another way, so they said, all right, we're going to do that. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Sometimes they just throw one of these games in there, one of these clunkers in there on offense. Sometimes. And this was the game that was the clunker in offense.
And sometimes that cost them. We've seen that cost them a game or two. Last year they lost to the Colts, I think in week 2 or 3,
I believe
early on in the year. So there's that.
That is true. That is a good point there. I mean, as far as the Eagles, though, I mean, you kind of got to – they haven't looked good. And I got a couple of their players on my fantasy. Yeah, they haven't looked good. But at the same time, like you said, they've kind of done what they had to do to win the games. You know what I mean? So against New England, they had to run the ball. So or against Minnesota, they had to run the ball. So it's like whatever you need to do to win that game, just win the game. That's ultimately all that matters. That's the only stat that I care about are dubs or L's. And Philly has won their first 2 games. Kansas City should have won their first game if people remember that they were supposed to catch the ball and they weren't playing soccer. Kansas City probably wins game 1, and then they win this one here too. So maybe a little bit of a hangover, but at the same time, I mean, if that was the case, then Kansas City should be punch drunk because they've been to freaking 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls or whatever the hell it is. So I don't think it's so much that, just as much as with the lack of practices and the lack of guys even playing in the preseason. The first 3 or 4 weeks of the actual season is almost like an extension of the preseason. So that's why I don't get too up or too down with what happens in the first few weeks of the season, because teams could always make adjustments, turn things around. Guys get healthy. Some guys get hurt. So there's still a lot of football left to go. But after 2 weeks, there are some surprises. And, again, that's what makes the NFL so much fun, huh?
Exactly. It wasn't fun watching my Packers play in the fourth quarter. They had a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter and lose the game 12-point lead, and they lose the game 24-25. Jordan Love still had a nice game, 14-25, only 151 yards, but 3 touchdowns. He missed on a bad read. He could have hit Dobbs wide open. And then close on the game was 4th and inches. He had the call wrong, and it cost us 5 yards, and we ended up punting. Instead, it was supposed to be a QB sneak. But nonetheless, he played pretty well. A.J. Dillon, this guy's fucking quads are so fucking big. He just stumbles right over himself in short yards. It might be the A.J. Dillon experiment in Green Bay might be coming to a close. If you get on Twitter, on the Packers Twitter, they are eating A.J. Dillon alive. 15 carries for 55 yards. Jalen Reed, 4 receptions, 37 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty. I mean, Luke Musgrave only had 2 for 25. Dobbs only had 2 for 30. But by God, Bijan Robinson, folks, is the real deal. 19 carries, 124 yards. He didn't score a touchdown, but just 8 Green Bay alive. I told you Green Bay still running the football. Welcome to the NFL. Drake London had 0 catches last week, 6 for 67 yards and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts only had 2 2 receptions. I watched this game obviously through and through. Desmond Ridder, you guys, I don't want to say he's the real deal, but he's pretty darn good quarterback. He made some smart plays, even with his legs at times. He made some good throws. He did almost have 3 interceptions if Packers defense could catch the fucking football, but that's why they play defense and not offense. But other than that, he made some, especially down the stretch, he made some nice plays with his legs. And I was, but my Packers fall to 1-1. Scott, what was your thoughts here? Falcons and my Packers.
The Packers need to sign Aaron Jones to a 3 or 4 year deal as soon as possible because they missed that guy tremendously today. I can't stand watching. I can't stand watching AJ Dillon anymore. Just can't stand watching it. It's just 3 odds, and he's a plotter. He's like Gus Edwards. He's a plotter. He's
got them big ass legs. He's big for nothing.
Yeah,
he just falls right over his big ass. His quads are so fucking big. He's top heavy. Just falls right over.
What happened between Boston College and Green Bay? I have no idea. He was great at Boston College, and then he just decided, I'm going to build my quads up. For whatever reason, I don't know. But when guys get bigger, they get slower. And sure enough, AJ Dillon is Aaron Jones is the glue to that team by far. Yeah. So they beat Chicago without Christian Watson. I didn't think Christian Watson was a factor in him missing today. It was Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones would have ran the ball more effectively, caught the ball out of the backfield. Green Bay would have been able to control the clock and the game, and they would have won probably by a touchdown, 10 points today with Aaron Jones. So come back soon.
So, Tanner, the reason we say welcome to the NFL is because he was on a fucking milk carton last week. That's why, asshole.
Yeah, what he said. I think Dillon is like the perfect complement to Aaron Jones. He's the bigger, I'm saying he's the thunder to Aaron Jones is lightning. So I don't know.
Well, he's not even thunder right now, John.
Right,
he's
a
fart in my fucking underpants.
Right.
Is what he is.
He's a slow ass cement truck, is what he is, to be completely honest. And I was honestly a little disappointed. I thought this was going to be his opportunity to kind of show what he can do without Aaron Jones there. I don't know if it was a conscious effort for him to get, because he looks bigger than he was at Boston College, and I know you still get some more strength when you come into the NFL. I don't know if that was, consciously done to get a little bigger to be that guy opposite of Aaron Jones, but you had an opportunity to show what you can do here. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of fell on your face. I thought Jordan Love played well. I told you were going to like him, bro. He again, not saying he's anything like, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, but I think you got a good young quarterback there to work with, man. So, and I'm going to put some of this on Matt LaFleur. You got a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Run the fucking ball.
Our offense did nothing in the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm saying. Run the fucking ball. Be a little bit more creative.
That's the thing. Is they tried. AJ Dillon can only go 2 yards till he falls over his fucking feet.
You're not creative enough to come up with some kind of plays just to keep the clock moving, just to get some yardage. I mean,
you know what they did, Johnny? They said we got a big guy back here that's supposed to be be able to run people over, Quadzilla, and he just trips over. He can't run over nobody but his damn self.
Yeah, but is that offensive line made to be mauling people? You know what I'm saying?
It did last week. No, that was the Bears, so who knows?
Right.
Johnny, I'll tell you what happens with AJ Dillon. He has a great end to the regular season, and the Packers coaching staff and management says, here we go. AJ Dillon's going to be our next lead back. And what does he do at the beginning of the season? He tails off.
Yep.
And
you're exactly right. You're exactly right, Scott. You're exactly right. So, yep. Yeah. I do want to ask this question here real quick. There are a lot of people going on Alexander Mass for having trash performance and bashing him on Twitter. So there's a lot of racist stuff. People are saying racist stuff to him on his Twitter, Instagram, and like there's no need for that. There's no. I talk a lot of shit about everybody and anything, but that's just kind of my nature. I take it on you can talk shit about me too. It's just kind of what it is. But I'll never go. There's 3 things you don't talk about people, and that's their family, their race, and their religion. I hold that to, my standards of talking shit.
Too many people have him on his fantasy team. He doesn't perform well. He's the reason they lose, and they take off on him. And they say anything they want. You know what, people? Give it a break. It's just fantasy. It's just a game. I know you're playing for a lot of money in some cases, but relax.
Hey, that's life. That's fantasy. That's fantasy. That's fantasy.
Unfortunately, that's a decent portion of our society. Unfortunately, that has that mentality. You always have that cluster of fan bases that are just beyond fanatical. They're racist. They're crazy. They start giving people death threats. I mean, it's a freaking game. You know what I'm saying? And I know we all love the game. We all take it seriously, and you know what I'm saying? We're all passionate about our teams and our games and our fantasy teams and all that shit. But I mean, these are human beings with families and stuff like that. So when you start threatening people's lives or bringing race into it and stuff like that, I mean, and some of the stuff that, I mean, my wife, who, you know, she likes football but doesn't give a shit about watching it or whatever. I mean, she was even mentioning to me about him getting death threats and all the racial stuff like that. So it's just people, they get behind their keyboards and stuff and they say shit that they normally wouldn't say or they would never say into somebody's face. So it's just
exactly.
It's unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody's a tough guy behind the keyboard and a computer.
Right.
Not the person's face. So,
and again, it's a freaking game, people. Come on, man.
Yep.
And here's the thing is, nobody goes to your fucking job and fucking tells you you're a piece of shit and calls you racist fucking things at your job. You know what I mean? And if they did, you'd probably quit, or you know what I mean? Like nobody comes to watch
or you would be at him. You know what I'm saying?
You'd be going
at him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like how would you like it if I came? How would you like it if I came fucking threw rocks while you were fucking mowing? Get the fuck out of here. So, you know what I mean?
Facts. But about this game here, AJ Dillon shit the bed. I think Matt LaFleur shit the bed. But I like your boy. Jordan Love. I thought he played well. And
defense played great.
You mentioned Desmond. Shout out to him, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to be great or really good? We don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? He's still young or whatever, but he manned up, man. He's got some tools. He's got a little swag to him and stuff like that. He's got some toughness. So I mean, I'm sure that team is behind him and feeling him right now with that comeback win. So look out for the ATL, man. The ATL and Tampa Bay are on top of that division. And like you mentioned, depending on what happens tomorrow with Jonathan Saints, we could have 3 2-0 teams in the NFC South, the fucking NFC South that we were talking so much shit about. We'll have 3 2-0 teams possibly.
Just when somebody finds Kyle Pitts, would you let him know that he plays tight ends for the Falcons and he needs to?
Well, I think that's the thing. You need to tell Desmond Ridder, hey, you have a tight end that's really good out there, bro. Throw him the ball every once in a while.
He did. Yeah. He was throwing it to Jonnu Smith. They threw to Jonnu Smith.
That's the wrong one. The one that you picked with the 4th pick overall. That guy.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
You know what I'm saying? You could have had Chase on your team, yo.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I do think he's going to be a guy. I think he's looked well. Yeah. When I look at young quarterbacks, do they make the right smart throws? Mm-hmm. Are they able to check it down? They're not forcing it. You know, are they getting rattled? You know, Jordan Love seems calm, cool, and collected. Mm-hmm. He's not making the boneheaded play. He does some nice plays with his legs. We just made some mistakes, and we probably lose that game. Even there wasn't. You're missing your number 1 running back, your number 1 wide receiver too. So we're not probably winning that game even if AR-12's back there this year again. It's like a lot like last year type of game. Defense gave up a shit ton of the running back. But
that is true. And it's a road game. You know what I'm saying? You're at a road game at a team that's got a good team. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta's not a pushover. You know what I'm saying? They got a nice squad. They're building something there in Atlanta. It was a road game for your Packers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a shitty way to lose because you had that game. But yeah, I think you got yourself a good player. And I mean, who better for him to learn from than to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple years? Yeah. And from everything I heard, you know what I'm saying, like he was cool with Jordan Love. It's not he didn't treat Jordan Love the way Brett Favre treated him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he actually, he actually worked with him and in the film room and stuff like that. So I mean, Jordan Love had about the best, quarterbacks coach you could possibly have in Aaron Rodgers. So if he doesn't make the stupid mistake and he just, you know what I'm saying, because he can make every throw, bro, and he's got athleticism. So you know what I'm saying, if he can keep his head straight and actually go through his reads and read defense as well, yeah, you got yourself a nice quarterback there, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, when Dontavian Wicks is Dontavian Wicks is your leading receiver, there's a problem.
Right.
There's a problem.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
I didn't even know who the hell that was, bro. I didn't even know who the hell that was.
Christian Watson needs to get back in the lineup. This hamstring injury's lingered way too long. He needs to get back in the lineup and play.
He better, or he ain't gonna have a job in a couple years, bro.
Let's get into the next one. Welcome back, Josh Allen. I mean, Scott, you called this game. You said, watch out, the Bills are pissed off, and by God, they put it on the Raiders 38-10. I mean, this game was a blowout from the start. Jimmy G, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Nobody. Where the hell's Josh Jacobs at? I mean, 9 carries for -2 yards. Come on, Josh. I mean, absolutely nowhere. 5 receptions, 51. Devontae did have 6 for 84 yards and a touchdown, but was taken out. He had a concussion. And then you get into the Bills game here. Josh Allen, 31-37, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. Most importantly, no interceptions. Yep. James Cook, hey, they realized they got a freaking running back in Buffalo. 17 carries, 123 yards. Damian Harris had 7 for 33 and a touchdown. Even Latavius Murray, 6 for 22 and a touchdown. But this is what I like to see, is the ball being spread out by Josh Allen. 6 for 92 and a touchdown by Gabe Davis. Stephon Diggs, 7 for 66. Dalton Kincaid, 5 for 43. James Cook, 4 for 36. Dawson Knox, 3 for 10 and a touchdown. Scott, you called it. Bills up. Bills win big here.
You knew this was coming. You just knew it. I mean, the way Josh Allen reacted post-game told me that the Raiders were in trouble. They were in serious trouble. And when Josh Allen throws the ball around and doesn't worry about running the ball as much and just throwing the ball, this is the Josh Allen that you see. And I think if he could take a page out of what he did today and carry it on for the rest of the year, the Bills are going to be extra dangerous come playoff time. Because, a mad Josh Allen, he didn't throw for 300 yards. He took the smart throws today. He didn't try to force it in. He took Gabe Davis was open, he threw it to him. Diggs was open, he threw it to him. James Cook out of the backfield was open, he threw it to him. Sure
and that's
enough,
what he wasn't just eyeing Diggs. You know what I mean? It just wasn't, Diggs is down there somewhere trying to force it into Diggs. This was, hey, this is the Josh Allen he needs to take what the defense gives you.
Yeah.
Spread the ball around. You got other weapons. Johnny, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, that's immediately what I was thinking about was, saying how different this week was than week 1, where it seemed like he was trying to force the ball into Stephon Diggs over and over again and wound up with all those interceptions. Like you mentioned, he spread it out to all the different guys. Now, this is one of those, I go to Stephon Diggs and be like, bro, do you want to win or do you just want to have as many catches as possible? You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to win, then every pass can't come to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got other players on this team, and when Josh Allen plays like this, like you said, Scott, he's a dangerous quarterback. He's a top 2 or 3 quarterback, an MVP candidate. But he can't be worried about his number 1 diva receiver bitching and moaning because he wants the ball every freaking play. You got a good squad there. I love James Cook. I was so pissed off when they drafted him last year. He is going to be a stud. But it was crazy too, because the Raiders went up early and it was like, oh shit, are the Raiders like actually gonna be for real? And then reality hit and they got their asses blown out. So you know what I'm saying, good for Buffalo. They needed that win. They did not want to go down 0-2 this early in the season. So it was a good bounce back win for them, and reality hit the Raiders and Jimmy G and company. So it was expected.
This was a good running back. You know what I mean? Like, this was a good game for the Bills. Like, it was equal, right? It wasn't so lean to the pass heavy. Josh Allen wasn't running for all, like, they ran the damn ball with James Cook. Like, use your running backs, and then they sprinkled in Harris and Latavius Murray even.
Right.
I mean, what today showed is Josh Allen doesn't have to throw for 350 yards for the Bills to win. He could throw for 260, 3 touchdowns, and they run the ball effectively, which they can because teams aren't going to load the box up to stop the run because then Josh Allen can pick them apart. They can run the ball effectively. They can score 30 points every game.
Yeah.
And I think that makes Buffalo a more dangerous team when they do this today, what they did throughout the season.
Now let's keep it in perspective that it was the Raiders. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So it might have been easy. It might have been easy for them to be balanced and be, play this type of game because of their opponent being the Raiders. But this is the blueprint for them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Establish a running game, be as balanced as possible, take a little bit of the pressure off of Josh Allen. Don't force everything to Stephon Diggs. Play good defense. And again, you're a top team like you've been the last several years. So this was no surprise. They handled their business. They did what they had to do against an inferior opponent, and they stopped them out.
Yeah.
And we'll go on to the next one here. It's the last of the early games here was the Chargers and the Titans going into overtime. Titans win this one in overtime, 24-27. Justin Herbert, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. No Eckler, he was out today. Joshua Kelly, 13 carries for 39 yards. Keenan Allen, man, another guy who just continues to put up great numbers year in and year out. 8 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 8 for 83. Other than that, nothing to be note of. But then you get to the Titans. Ryan Tannehill, big bounce back game. This is the perfect Tannehill game. 24, 246 yards, 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry, 25 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Tannehill also ran in a touchdown. Traylon Burks, 3 for 76. Hopkins, 4 for 40. Titans win in an upset here, Scott. What's your thoughts here? Nice bounce back game for Ryan Tannehill.
Can the Titans cover Keenan Allen anytime? He was wide open on almost every catch spot today.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
That's what Sam said in the chat, group chat. They haven't covered him all day, so why start now? I mean, we knew the Titans were going to be a tougher draw for the Chargers than everybody thought. Sure enough, they were a little bit more high scoring than I thought. I thought it would be like a 21-17 type of game. The Titans, when they play defense, they're better than a lot of teams. Today they didn't play much defense, but Brandon Staley needs to go. He just needs to go. He's one of the worst coaches in the NFL. I mean, you'll be on with Rob Logan in a little bit, Johnny, but he just needs to go. He's
supposed to be a defensive guru, and they gave up that many points to the Titans.
You just paid a guy $200-something million, and for that team, they're going to miss the playoffs. They're going to miss the playoffs. They're 0-2 right now. They're not going to the playoffs.
You got the Chargers and the Bengals out of the playoffs?
Well, I've had the Chargers all along. I think the Chargers, the downfall was in the second half of Jacksonville last year. But, I mean, both of these teams, both Cincinnati and the Chargers, could miss the playoffs this year.
So I'm gonna ask you this before we go on to the next game. Same question I asked about the Bengals. What's the panic meter in LA for the Chargers?
It's got to be 8.
It's like 6 or 7 because of that division. You got Kansas City in that division with you, Denver, whatever, Raiders, whatever. But you got Kansas City and you got the rest of the AFC. You know what I'm saying? Like this conference is a very strong conference. It's hard to go 0-2 and try to get yourself back up in here as far as a playoff spot. We mentioned earlier between him and Joe Burrow, $352 million, and they're both 0-2. Justin Herbert, again, I'm not trying to shit on this kid because I actually like Justin Herbert, and he did drive the team down the field to kick the field goal to put it into overtime, and then you win the toss and you can't complete a pass. You know what I'm saying? A quick 3 and out, and then the defense can't make a play, and they go right down the field. And you know what I'm saying?
And that defense is supposed to be good. They got the names of Khalil Mack, Bosa, Jackson,
Derwin James. Like you got all these names. You got all these names on your defense, and you couldn't stop Tennessee. You couldn't stop Ryan Tannehill when it mattered most.
And last week the same thing. Last week was awful.
Yep. Excuse me, when Nick Westbrook-Akina is dominating your defense, that's a problem. That's a problem. It's a serious problem.
Shout out to my boy Rob Logan. I know he's unhappy that his team is 0-2, but at the same time, he knows that it's getting closer and closer for Staley to get fired. So how bittersweet, I don't know how. I'll ask him how he's feeling after on tonight's postgame show. But I know he wants Staley fired. But wow, you know what I'm saying?
If they're 0-4, I think their bye week is week 5. If they're 0-4 at their bye week, he's gonna get fired. He's just gonna get fired.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, they'll keep him all year.
I think they'll keep him all year, and if they don't make the playoffs, I think he's done. I think even if they do make the playoffs, but like if they make the last wild card and get like stomped out or get beat in that first round, then I think he's fired. But I don't know that they'll make a change in season. If you're gonna fire him after week 4, then you should have just fired him in the offseason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what Rob was holding.
I never understood that. Why would you let a coach come back and then after 3 or 4 games fire him? You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, then you probably should have fired him in the offseason, which they probably should have.
A game that was a little closer than what I thought it was going to be. The Stafford just threw 2 bad interceptions, one late in the game that kind of cost him. But the 49ers win 30-23. Brock Purdy 17-25, 206 yards. Christian McCaffrey 20 carries, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Deebo Samuel 6 receptions for 63 yards. Brandon Ayuk 3 for 43. Juwan Jennings 2 for 51. The Rams, man, this Stafford I mentioned 3 of 7, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of them was a bad interception when they needed to score. But this Puka Nakaku guy, however the hell you say his name, 15 receptions, 147 yards. Tutu Atwell 7 for 77. Kyron Williams 6 for 48. They pretty much going to cut Cam Akers. Cam Akers pretty much told to, hey, see you the fuck later. Well, I wish you guys would do that before the season, Sean. So maybe I don't draft Cam Akers at all in my fantasy.
Thank you.
But nonetheless, Kyron Williams 14 carries, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. Scott, if you're a Cam Akers fantasy owner, you might as well just drop him today, huh?
I agree. They're trying to trade him, but I do have one comment in this game. Sean McVay bet on his team to cover the spread.
Bro, like as soon as I saw them lining up for that field goal, I put it in our text thread. I was like, yo, he's kicking the field goal here. You know how mad people are right now that they're going to cover the
So here's the strange thing.
Half.
Here's the strange thing. It's 4 seconds left. You guys seen tons of football. What coach would send his field goal unit out to kick a field goal with 4 seconds left when it means nothing? It means you lost by 7 or 10.
Somebody had some money on the game. Money on the game.
He did. Yeah. I would not doubt.
Somebody he knew had some money on the game for sure.
He said, "What's the spread?" Somebody told him it was 8.5. He said, "Field goal unit, go out. Go ahead. We're gonna cover the spread."
Was it 8.5? 7.5? 8?
No, it was 7. It was 7.5. It was 7.5.
It was 7.5. How could you justify sending your field goal unit out down by 10 with no?
Hey,
you're not going to win.
Hey, Scott, you know what that's called? That's called a bad beat. That's what that is.
I bet you everybody.
That's
everybody
the worst
was,
fucking beat right there.
Everybody was walking up the window with San Francisco tickets, and they looked at the TV and saw the field goal going up and said, "Oh shit, there he goes."
I couldn't believe that. I was extremely frustrated because I had that one down as a win as far as in our picks, and then that field goal just blew that shit up right there. But San Francisco.
I got it at 7 on DraftKings. Yeah, I got it at 7 on DraftKings.
When we did the picks on Thursday, it was 7.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that hook right there, that messed us up. But again, like you said, like you're down 10 and you kick a field goal, like just throw it in the end zone. You know what I'm saying? It's just it looked a little suspect right there. But as far as the game itself, the Rams had a couple opportunities there, but it never it never really felt like they would actually win it though. You know what I'm saying?
But they were in it. They were hanging around. Yeah.
They kept it close and they made it interesting or whatever, but at no point in time did you feel like, San Francisco might get got here. On the other side of the football, Samuel had a nice game. Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey. That kid is special. Brock Purdy, you know what I'm saying? You saw some of the effects of the elbow, in my opinion. There were a few wide open shots that he had, and he missed those. The middle and intermediate, the short passing game, he's fine with. But on some of those deeper throws, I don't know if it's the elbow or what, but he just wasn't, on for a lot of those. But again, this team is so stacked. It's not like they need him to do all that much. You know what I'm saying? So he makes the plays that need to be made to keep the change moving. This defense is really good. And you got playmakers all over the place. So no surprise here. Again, it was a close game, but in my opinion, it was a fairly easy win for San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's get into the next one here. This was a wild game. The Cardinals were up 20-0 at halftime. The Giants hadn't scored a single freaking point in 6 quarters. Then the second half is a whole completely different story. The Giants outscore them 31-8. Giants win this game 31-28. This was I don't even know this. I thought that first half I was like the Giants might be the worst team in football. The way I was talking about them. But Daniel Jones, 26-37, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Saquon, 17-63 yards, 1 touchdown. Jones also ran in a touchdown. Jalen Hyatt, 2 catches for 89 yards. Darren Waller, 6 for 76. Isaiah Hodgins, 4 for 40 and a touchdown. Saquon also caught 6 balls, 29 for 29 and a touchdown. The Cardinals, man, Josh Dobbs looked, he didn't play bad, but they just don't have a whole lot of talent. 21-31, 228 yards, 1 touchdown. James Conner, 23 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Joshua Dobbs, 3 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. Marquise Brown, 6 for 54 and a touchdown. Zach Ertz, 6 for 56. And either way, this game, Johnny, to me, I thought that there's no way that the way as bad as the Giants looked for 6 quarters, they come back and win this game. If this is the Cardinals, exactly what you want. We play hard. We don't look like we're tanking, but we're fucking tanking, and now we're 0-2.
Right. Yeah, it was. When you sent out that text that the Giants are down 60-0 in the first 6 quarters or whatever, it was like holy shit. Like I didn't really even think about it like that, but it was pretty bad there for a second. I mentioned it the other day that listening to a lot of New York sports talk radio, there was a lot of concern that the Giants kind of exceeded expectations last year, so they're going to regress this year. But an 0-2 start, especially losing to Arizona, would have been a really, really bad look. So that was a much needed win right there, not only for Daniel Jones, right, for Brian Daboll and for Daniel Jones. If you're going to have any shot of making a playoff spot, you had to win this game and stay at 1-1, like you mentioned, especially in that division with Dallas playing the way they're playing, Philly not playing great but finding ways to win games. This was huge. It was an exciting game. It was a fun game all the way to the end. And it's like you said, for the Cardinals, you get the best of both worlds. You guys are playing hard, entertaining football, and you're playing just well enough to lose, so that you can get that first pick overall. So it's a win-win for both teams, I guess.
No, it's not a win-win for both. Well,
for the organization, not the players. Because I feel bad for the Arizona players. Like James Conner is running like a man possessed. Like if I'm a team that needs a back, I'm hitting Arizona up and like, I'll give you a 3. You know what I'm saying, for James Conner. He's still not. He's 28, maybe something like that. But he runs hard.
It seems like he's hurt. He's very healthy for 1 year, hurt the next year, or.
Well, hopefully this is the healthy year, and
it is because last year he banged up quite a bit.
Yeah. So there you go, people. This is the year to pick up James Conner if you have an opportunity, because he's just going to be wasting away in Arizona, man. Because they're obviously not going nowhere.
For the first 6 quarters of the season, Arizona looked pretty good. They were competing with both games, and then all of a sudden they reverted back. They looked at halftime and they said, "Holy crap, we're up 20-0. What are we doing?" And then they just reverted back to the way that everybody thinks they're going to play. So James Conner is running like a beast this year. He's phenomenal so far. He's a fantasy find for anybody. That's number one. Number two, Josh Dobbs is a serviceable quarterback for the Cardinals. They traded for the right guy. for their team. So he's spreading the ball around. He's getting everybody involved, which is great for the Cardinals. But still, it's the Cardinals, and their defense is just awful. So you can't allow
when you give away a former top 10 pick for a bag of chips and a couple of footballs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your defense is going to suck. So.
Jada said Raiders Cardinals get Caleb. Titans Raiders or Cardinals get Caleb Williams. I don't think the Titans. They got Will Levis and everybody else. I think it's probably the Cardinals if he decides. Remember, Caleb Williams can stay one more year. So
today showed it's the Cardinals. I think. Because I don't know if the Cardinals are going to win more than 2 games this year. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think the Titans are actually gonna win. Another handful of games. The Titans are going to be competitive. They got one of the best coaches in football. We've all talked about Mike Vrabel. He's one of the best coaches, and they got one of the best running backs. So they'll win some games. So they're not going to get the first overall pick. And the Raiders, they're I guess hit or miss. We'll see what happens with the Raiders. But Arizona is like. They're gonna get that first pick, man. But they're having, you know what I'm saying, they're entertaining at least. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. As far as the fan base should be, you know what I'm saying, feel pretty good because their team's competing. I mean, it sucks because they're losing, but at the same time, what the prize is at the end of the year. So
the sleeping team is the Bears. What do the Bears think of Justin Fields as the year goes on? If they are done with them. Then if they get the number 1 pick, they're drafting Caleb Williams. So
agreed. Let's get into the next one game. Going into this game, the Jets-Cowboys game, it was reported Zach Wilson's got some newfound confidence. They got newfound confidence in Zach Williams. Well, all that confidence might have went out the fucking window after today's game again. 12 of 27, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I said this on the other night. I said on Thursday's show, I said they just got to tell Zach, don't do anything fucking stupid. They forgot to tell them that because he was throwing some balls into to double coverage. Where was the running game? I mean, Breece Hall, 4 carries for 9 yards. Dalvin Cook, 4 for 7 yards. Like, that can't happen. I know their offensive line is atrocious, and that's why their star quarterback's sitting on the sidelines part of it. Garrett Wilson, only 2 receptions, 83 yards, did have 1 touchdown. Tyler Conklin, 5 receptions for 50 yards. And then you get to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, nice game for Dak, 31 of 38, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, 25 of 72. You get into the receiving. CeeDee Lamb, 11 for 143. Tony Pollard had 7 receptions as well. And that's pretty much kind of sums up the Cowboys. But Cowboys win big here, 30-10, 2-0 on the season now. And Johnny, what's your thoughts on Cowboys and Jets?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty much what we expected of this game here. We talked about it a bit on the morning show about how Dallas was going to use CeeDee Lamb. The Jets don't put Sauce to shadow a wide receiver. He plays his side and Reed plays his side. So Dallas just moved CeeDee Lamb all over the field and got him open. It seems like he was just open all day, and that's that's one of the better defenses in all of football that they pretty much picked apart. Micah Parsons is playing like a man possessed. He's
did he score on that touchdown fumble recovery? They called that back. I missed that part.
I think they called that back. No,
called it back.
I believe so.
I believe they called it back. But I mean, it seemed like he can get to the quarterback pretty much whenever he wanted. He's just about I mean, he's him. He's probably a top 2 or 3 player in the league, not just defensive player. Just a top 2 or 3 player in the whole NFL, both sides of the ball. He's that dominant of a player. CeeDee Lamb had a good game. Tony Pollard with a nice game. And this Zach Wilson is he's not him. He's just not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I was hopeful for the young man and hoping that that he can maybe take advantage of this opportunity. Garrett Wilson, you can see is a baller, but Dallas just stacked the box and said, "You are not running the ball on us." Zach Wilson's going to have to win this game, and he proved that he can't. Huh? So It is what it is, man. I mean, I don't feel too bad for the Jets. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of Jet fans that are in the network, so I feel bad for y'all. but I don't feel bad for the Jets at all.
There's another one. I mean, Sauce Gardner deletes his Twitter because fans are all over him about the game.
Like, are you kidding me?
Come on. Really, if that's accurate, do fans really think the Jets with Zach Wilson were going into Dallas and beating Dallas today? No chance. No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
Sauce probably didn't play that great either, and I get that. Look, every player you play bad, the world's you're going to take it on the shins. That's just the world we live in. It's and you just can't. You can't, like I said, you can't get into the race stuff and those types of things. That's when it becomes problems.
The thing with the Jets is this: they're very limited on offense. If they do not run the ball effectively, they're not going to win games. It's a simple thing. Simple.
Yeah.
Thing. So
let's get into the last game of the day here. Another what a comeback here. They were down 18 points. I believe it was 21-3 at one point by the Broncos. And then they lose 35-33. This game had everything. Somehow this game, the Broncos complete a wild ass Hail Mary, bounced off about four dudes like a hot potato, score the Hail Mary, got to go for two. They don't get it, lose the game. But Sam Howell, 27-39, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson Jr., 18 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson's nowhere to be found. You might as well just cut him off your fantasy if he's anybody like owner like myself. 5 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown for Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson, 3 receptions for 22. And then the Broncos, Russ Wilson, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Javonte, 12 carries for 44 yards. And then receiving wise, Marvin Mims Jr., 2 receptions, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, 3 of 25. Brandon Corton Sutton, 5 for 66. Brandon Johnson, 2 for 66 and the 2 touchdowns. Broncos lose a wild game. Exactly, Keith.
Right.
Exactly.
Who is it?
I mean, I guess maybe Nathaniel Hackett wasn't the problem, Johnny, because the Broncos are 0-2 again.
That is a fact. I don't think he was the problem. I mean that was a great Hail Mary, and it was exciting there at the end. But yeah, they had such a big lead. Shout out to the Commanders, Sam Howell. I mentioned him a lot before the season. I like this kid. And they did what they had to do. They came back and won this game. And Denver has a lot bigger problems than Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, I don't know that Russ played horribly, but 18 for 32 isn't great. They were actually running the ball too. It's like, I don't really understand how they lost, but you know what I'm saying? Washington made a bunch of plays there at the end.
Field goal. Not take your mind off the fucking what you're saying, Johnny. Just thought you should know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You're a couple seconds ahead of me, man.
Okay.
That was such an offside right there too. Not for nothing.
Scott, any thoughts here on Broncos?
I will say this: there is always that one team every NFL season that just comes out of the woodwork and wins games, and you can't explain why, you can't explain how.
The Commanders might be that team. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. Washington might be that team this year that wins 9 or 10 games, and like Minnesota last year, all these close games, and because they won 2 games by 6 points. That was Minnesota last year.
Chase Young, welcome back.
Yep.
Chase Rice, I mean. Is it Chase Rice? Chase Young?
Chase Young.
Chase Rice, the country singer. Chase Young, welcome. I mean, he was in there on a lot of plays defensively. While he wasn't sacking Russ, they were getting there. Him and Montez Sweat. They got that defense is really good, and they got the offensive weapons. Brian Robinson Jr. Looks like he's kind of fully back now. He played well. Sam Howell played, isn't as long as he doesn't commit the turnovers. I think the Commanders got to, to me, through 8 quarters, they look better to me than the Giants, So there's that.
We will see about Washington next week. They host Buffalo. That will tell a lot about Washington and how they are. If they can beat Buffalo or play really close game with them, then I think we could say Washington's that team that could be the sleeper in the NFC for the playoff spot. So,
yeah.
Before go ahead, Jimmy.
I mentioned that before the season that I liked Washington. I couldn't believe the over/under was 6 or something like that as far as their wins, 6.5.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody jumped on that over. But I still don't see them up there with Dallas and Philly quite yet. No. But like you said, this game coming up against Buffalo will tell us a lot. So we'll see what happens next week.
Scott, before we get to our dogs and turds, do you got any fantasy highlights for us, or some fantasy highlights and lowlights?
So a couple guys just trade Mike Evans, number 1. Try to get him. Go out and do what you can to trade for him. Don't give up a top 3 player at quarterback or running back, but try to give something to get him. Number 2, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, I would try to trade them if you can right now. I don't have any confidence that especially if Burrow's hurt and he's out for a couple of weeks because his calf. Jamar Chase if it's a backup quarterback, Jamar Chase is not going to do anything the next couple of weeks. So don't forget your fantasy regular season's 13 weeks. So 4 weeks, you get nothing from Jamar Chase. So I would try to deal him if you can for something of substance for 2 players if you can do it.
Give me one guy we're looking at, or 1 or 2 guys we're looking at on the waiver wire.
If Puka Nacua is there, you got to pick him up. If Tutu Atwell's
everybody went out and got him last week, I think.
Tutu Atwell's a very intriguing option for the Rams. I think that he could turn into something really good for them. So I would try to get him off the waiver wire. There really is nothing that stood out this week that I would say to go get
Zach Moss. I think if you haven't got him, maybe
Zach Moss was either drafted late or if he's on the waiver wire, definitely go get him. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's playing another down for the Colts again. Beyond that, I'd look at like Hunter Renfrow. If Adams and Myers are out again, Hunter Renfrow's the number 1 wide receiver for the Raiders. So I would look at trying to get him if you can and just seeing where it goes. But we're looking at bottom of barrel guys right now. And all the highlight guys got. And the Justice Hill that everybody paid $500 for, that ain't working out. So, that ain't working out.
Let's get to our ad read, and then we'll give out our dogs and turds of the week. When our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your return on investment. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we're here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/let's talk. You can get access to all the sports books in your region, along with review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions at each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for our next sports book at signupexpert.com/let's talk. All right, boys. Johnny, we'll start with you. Give us your big old fat turd of the week.
My big old fat turd of the week is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars entire team. I guess if you want to give it to Trevor Lawrence, you can. You can give it to Doug Peterson if you want to. But Jacksonville had an opportunity to make a statement against the defending champs at home, coming off a big win last week, take a nice 2-0 lead in your division, and you totally piss down the side of your leg. So my turd of the week will go to the entire Jacksonville Jaguars team.
Scott, you got a turd of the week and player. It can be a player, person, team.
I'll give it to the Jets. I know that the Jets weren't counting on to go in and win the game, but Zach Wilson, what are you doing, buddy? 3 interceptions. What do you see? Ghost? Is this a Sam Darnold repeat again? I mean, it's just that Zach Wilson's not the guy. He never will be the guy for the Jets. He just laid a stake based on the emotion that they came off of Monday night. I know it was a short week. It was in Dallas. Dallas is a great defense, but you got to play better than that, and you got to step up and lead your team and show your team that you can be the leader. And that he's not. He's not. So Zach Wilson's my turd of the week. It could have been the Bengals. I was looking at the Bengals really hard.
I gave the Bengals the turd of the week last week, so I try not to do repeat performers, at least on a week-to-week basis. But my big old fat turd of this week goes to none other than Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton talked all that shit in the offseason about Hackett and this and that and the offense and we need to be perfect. You had a 18-point lead against the Washington Commanders and you're playing at home and you lose like that. Whether it's the offensive line, whether it's Russ, I'm going to give it to the big old turd of the Denver Broncos. You had an 18-point lead, Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos, 18-point lead, and you lose it to the Commanders after talking all that shit about, it was other people's problems last year. No, it's the same toilet, just different turd, and it's the Denver Broncos.
That's well said. Well said.
Let's get into it. Scott, we'll go with you first. Who is your dog of the week?
What is this criteria for dog of the week before I pick my pick?
Hey, somebody who just outballed just a dog, just somebody who's a stud.
It's Mike Evans. It's Mike Evans.
Cabrón,
I mean,
it took my stud. It's all right.
For him to do what he's doing with Baker Mayfield is just nobody saw this coming. Last week, 6 for 66. This week, 5 or 6 for 171 and a touchdown. He could have had a little bit better game. There were a couple throws that him and Mayfield didn't connect on, but for the most part, Mike Evans has been probably a top 10 wide receiver so far at this point this year. So Mike Evans is my dog of the week. Sorry, Johnny.
All right, it's all good. You can tell by my reaction there that was my original dog of the week. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Geno Smith. Geno came out, played, saying 32 for 41, 328, 2 touchdowns, brought the team back against a pretty good Detroit Lions team. I'm not gonna say a really good Detroit Lions team, but they needed this win on the road, comeback fashion. Take it into overtime and then hit Mr. Reliable Tyler Lockett to win the game. So Geno Smith is my dog of the week.
My dog of the week. I'm not going offense, boys. I'm going defense. And my dog of the week is none other than Micah Parsons. I mean, did you watch that game? The dude was all over the place. Sacks, fumbles, should have scored a damn touchdown. Micah Parsons is my NFL Week 2 dog of the week.
He wasn't playing against anybody exciting, by the way. It was just Zach Wilson and the punchless Jets offense.
He's so much fun to watch, though, man. He is so much fun to watch. Micah Parsons, bro.
He is. And all we're going to hear about Allen tomorrow is how the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
4 tackles and 2 sacks, and it looks like he could have done a lot more if he really wanted to, man. He's something else, man.
Yeah, stud. Absolutely. It was in on every play. I mean, whether it's pressure, I mean, it's every play he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get out of here, Johnny, you got any last final thoughts or anything?
No, another great Sunday of football. A lot of big news is coming to Let's Talk Sports. So if you're new, subscribe, smash the like button. Of course, this is the Bodkin Show here on this network, but this is also affiliated with Let's Talk Sports, of course. So just a fun Sunday. I will be back in about, I don't know how much longer it's going to take for the Dolphins to finish off your Pats here, but I'd say another half hour or so. I'll be back on with Mr. Rob Logan.
The Patriots are at the 3-yard line, by the way, just so you know.
No, they just X threw an interception.
They just do an interception.
Oh, jeez. All right. You can start your show after this one. It's over.
But I'll be back soon with Mr. Rob Logan. So we'll be able to hear how Rob Logan feels about his Chargers going 0-2 and everything he has to say about Mr. Staley. But like I said, check out. So there's a lot of news coming up starting tomorrow, so be paying attention for that. A big shout out to Tanner for everything that he does, and a big shout out to Mr. Dan Harris again. If it wasn't for him and what he built at Let's Talk Sports, I wouldn't have my boys here to have these shows with. So I am forever grateful for him. I hope he is okay right now, man.
Amen to that. Scott, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance this morning because I came on late. Shout out to Dan. Hopefully he's comfortable. Hopefully he's resting well. We all think a lot of highly of Dan Harris. He's the reason why we're all here. So shout out to Dan. And I know there's an announcement coming tomorrow or the next couple of days, as Johnny said. So I'm looking forward to what Let's Talk Sports has in store for all of us, because I think it's going to be really good and it's going to be really exciting for all of us. So we're not going anywhere, but there's going to be some minor changes, I believe, that are coming. So,
yep.
We'll be back. The three of us will be back tomorrow, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern for the Let's Talk Sports show. We'll have Jonathan on talking some baseball. I'm out of 10 panic meter right now. My Cubs just got swept by the Diamondbacks. We may not be making the fucking playoffs. So there's that. Packers lose. Cubs lose. Yeah, not a great sports weekend for the old Bodkins, but it's all right. We keep on keeping on. We'll keep on tomorrow night, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern at the Let's Talk Sports show. Again, we'll have a lot of hockey news too. So we'll be talking some hockey with Jim as well, and a little certain The Rock returning to the WWE. Can't wait to talk with that on Jim tomorrow night too. So we'll be hitting it all tomorrow night. Plus, we'll be having the games on, talk a little bit of the Monday night games, double header tomorrow night. So there's that. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. Please sign up for signupexpert.com/let's talk. Get yourself on a bookie. It just helps us out as well. And join our new Discord. So
you believe.
Be a friend, tell a friend. I'm going to hit that outro as soon as I find it. There it is. See you guys.